What is up, FPG fam? Further here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the developer's notes, Crownless, the Primal's Desire. So first thing I did want to mention before we jump into the video is that I enjoy these developer notes. We have been receiving so much information on Wuthering Waves as of late with the CBT, the IGN video, the developer's notes. We've been getting a lot of content, and I do truly appreciate that. I hope they continue with these developer notes because they're pretty awesome. Now, the Crownless is an individual that we know very well. We've seen him in the technical test. We've seen him in trailers. We've seen him all over the place. This individual is very important. This individual is prominent within Wuthering Waves, and so we have a deep dive into this character, this enemy, and so I wanted to go over that with you guys. Now, I'm not going to go over every single little detail here because there's a lot, and you can take a look at it for yourself. I'll have this linked in the description down below. I implore you. It's really cool. A lot of information here, but there are a few key notes that I did want to touch on in today's video. So if you do enjoy, drop a like, sub if you're new. I'd love to have you stick around, join the FPG fam. We're in here. We're definitely in here, and I couldn't be more excited about everything going on. Also, follow me on Twitter. I'll have that linked in the description down below. Been posting a lot on Twitter as well. Would love to have some more people over there communicating, interacting, discussing about Wuthering Waves. Been a really good time. I digress though. So we have this individual, the Crownless. Now, this enemy in particular has gone through a redesign, like what has been going on with Wuthering Waves in general, with the characters that you can obtain, redesigns. This one, no different. Now, if you're not aware, or if this is your first introduction to this enemy or Wuthering Waves in general, he used to be red, like have a lot of red in the wings and in his design where it's black. So basically everywhere that's black used to be red, right? Which I thought it looked fine. They decided to go with this purple type of color, which purple is my favorite color, so I'm not opposed to that. I think he looks great regardless, just the design in of itself without colors taken into account. I think his design's off the chart, and then the purple design is fine. Now, the javelin, once again, this was, you know, red where it's purple, but I think this looks fantastic. This is the enemy's weapon, known as the Crownless. One thing I did want to note is that it tries to mimic the human knight, but it can't because it doesn't have the chivalry, it doesn't have the respect, the honor that a knight would have, but it does its best to try and mimic it, and it tries to learn our behaviors. It tries to be like humans, but it just doesn't have the ability to do that. Now, what is really cool about this breakdown and the developer notes is that it shows you the different phases that you're going to be going through when you're fighting this enemy. One of the main things that I loved about Punishing Gray Raven are the boss encounters and the fights that you go through when you are playing Punishing Gray Raven. They are so satisfying. I had the most fun in Punishing Gray Raven when I fought difficult bosses, trying to learn their mechanics, their gameplay, and then utterly defeat them after many a times losing to them. That was always the greatest thing with Punishing Gray Raven, actually building up your characters for a reason, right? Investing in them for a reason, and then combat being sophisticated enough to require learning, understanding, dissecting to be able to overcome a foe such as this and the ones that they have in PGR. So I do love that Kuro Games is staying true to themselves, at least with the bosses when it comes to the fights and the combat, and I hope they continue this in the future with other bosses because this one appears to be extremely epic. We've seen the opening scene for the technical test when you fight this guy right as you start, and I think the reason they do that is because this boss encounter at the very beginning of the game gives you an idea of what to expect when you're playing Wuthering Waves and you're going to encounter other bosses. It gives you the ability to get an idea of the combat, the dodging mechanic, the parry mechanic, the timing, everything that's going to go into fighting a Wuthering Wave boss you experience with this one right here. So it gets you ready, it gets you prepped for what to expect as you play the game, and I appreciate that. So we can see right here, menacingly staring you down, walking you down, ready to do combat. Now, the first phase, they're starting off with melee. So fisticuffs, throwing hands, you know I love that. That's all what I'm about. And you can see the purple aura. That's what this guy's all about. Black and purple. And you can see that the map design is different from the technical test as well. It's very gray, very dark, very bleak, where in the technical test, it was more tan, a little more vibrant, a little more bright. because this guy was a little more vibrant, a little more bright as well. As you move on, you start to see that the boss starts to ramp up a little bit, start doing some dodges, and you see that the attacks are getting a little stronger right here, right? Big explosion. You can time this to make sure that you're getting out of the way in time, parrying this. I don't know if this is parryable. I'm gonna be, I don't know, maybe, but you can definitely time the dodge right there, right? So big attack right there. Then we have this one where this, okay, so let me this is where things start to get very interesting, because look how quick not only does the boss dodge, but look how quickly the counterattack comes out. So you try to attack, the boss dodges right out of the way, and look at the counterattack, how fast that is. These encounters and these fights are going to be lightning fast. You're going to have to be on your toes, right? You're going to have to be focused. You're going to have to be locked in, because this is not a game that you can just mindlessly mash buttons and not pay attention to. You're going to have to be on your P's and Q's here. And I love that. That's what draws me to Wuthering Waves. That's what drew me to Punishing Gray Raven, and why I had so much fun with that game, and why I expect nonetheless here. So very quick dodge, very fast attack right there. If we move down a little bit further, look how quick, I'm talking milliseconds, does this boss react, the Crownless, react to your movement and strike. Look at the strike, how fast that is. I'm actually a little mind blown at how quick that is. Look, bam, right in your face. I mean, you have to be ready, right? You have to do your homework. Like it's a like you're boxing in a real fight. It's intense, and that's I love that. Absolutely intense, with some quick strikes and a nice kick to follow up. And then we have this move right here. So what you're seeing is a nice mixture of telegraph moves that you're going to be able to see coming a mile away, and very quick moves that are not telegraphed whatsoever. And it's going to take fighting this guy maybe a couple of times, unless you're a Giga Chad Sweat who gets it down packed from the first onset. But if you're a normie like myself, it's probably going to take you a few times fighting this guy, maybe once or twice, right? Not too many times. I'm not talking 5 or 6 times, maybe once or twice fighting this guy to understand the patterns, to understand that this little walk is setting up a very fast attack that's about to happen, or this movement right here, if you attack, be ready for a counterattack, or that's an opportunity for a counterattack, or you see the blue circle that pops up, that's indicating that the boss is gonna counterattack. And so it takes fighting the boss a couple of times to understand and see the patterns, and then be able to defeat him accurately the right way. So keep that in mind. But like I mentioned, you're gonna have some big telegraph moves, but these big telegraph moves, I bet if you get caught with them, you're probably gonna get one-shotted, or very close to one-shotted. It's probably gonna take like maybe 3/4 of your health away. You're gonna be leaking. You're gonna be leaking, let's put it that way. So that's that stage. So you have the first stage, fisticuffs, pretty easy, getting an understanding of the boss. Then you have the second phase, they call it Riled Up here. So he starts to get riled up, the attacks become faster, not as many telegraphs. You're gonna have to be on your P's and Q's, and dotting all your T's and crossing all your I's. And then you have the Fury stage. So this is the third stage. And then it says, having been torn by battle, the knight's cloak is now replaced by a pair of large feathered wings, which, by the way, looks fantastic. A lance is called out from beneath its feet, as though showing it now has truly entered the role of a knight. Excuse me, ready to carry out a final duel with the rover. Now, no longer fisticuffs. We are wielding a weapon, and it's time to get down to business. With this transformation comes a complete change in the knight's fighting style. It shifts from pure melee attacks to a menacing lance strikes, and newly obtained wings granted the capability to pounce from the air. So now it has wings, is much more mobile, and it has a lance, so you can see the attacks are there's a lot more distance to them. You're gonna have to be a little more careful. As the rover faces sweeping lance blows, the initial strike is easily avoidable, but may be battered by the latter two that come in immediate succession. A combo 3 sweeping attacks demand more accurate timing and evasion from its receiver. Yeah, like I mentioned, there are going to be new attacks. You're going to have to be ready for multiple attacks. So you think that was the only one? No, I'm following up with a 1-2 punch combo. So you just got to be ready, right? You think that's the only attack, and then all of a sudden 2 more attacks come out. You're just going to have to be prepared. Get the timing down. Large sweeping moves here. If we move down, it says, in addition to the lance, it would also fling sharp feathers at the unsuspecting rover. A dishonorable move, unlike that of a true knight, going back to trying to mimic a knight but can't, and rather more of a desperate attempt for victory out of fury. Now, I don't know if this is now starting to indicate that you're getting the better of this enemy and he's close to being dead or dying. I believe there is a health bar, so you can figure that out for yourself. But that's when he starts doing this move, is towards the latter half of his health. Or if this is something that he just does from the onset when going into this form. But you could just see how quick the enemy's movements are. It's insane. Zigzagging and then throwing those feathers out extremely fast. Yeah, you're just gonna have to time that. That's insane. That's insane how fast he's moving. But man, does it not look like tons of fun? It looks like tons of fun. It looks like a mix of tons of fun and frustration at the same time. The Knight's assaults from the air proved to be even more threatening than those on the ground. With greater flexibility in the direction of attack, significantly increased range and speed, they are extremely lethal. With the increase of frequency and lance sweep supplemented by feather shots, the rover becomes overwhelmed. Man just starts going, he just starts cooking, right? Look at him. He just starts cooking, wanting to go off on the main stage, doing some crazy stuff. You're probably asking yourself, why are you doing that right now? But you could see much more mobility, much more dangerous. The attacks are a little more unpredictable now, right? Not expecting that follow-up right there. And then you can see little telegraph, right? You see the wind up, you see the coming in. So that's a little more of a telegraph move. Get ready for that one, right? Not only this, the jet black wings can also conjure up a column of tornado in place of the previous projectiles towards the rover way. And you can... Man, that feels like it's sped up. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. That comes out extremely fast. No wind up, no telegraph. I'm just throwing that tornado at, and that tornado is moving. And then it ends by saying, after the grueling battle, the mock-up knight fades away under Rover's blade. The crownless failed to acquire its crown. That's fitting. The crown represents a child's rite of passage into adulthood, and it is also the crownless initial stage of imitating human beings. However, perhaps only when the crownless truly understands the nature of human beings can it find its own crown rather than merely imitate. That's powerful. This battle merely marks the beginning of the encounter between the rover and the crownless. It sounds as if this is going to be an individual that you're going to be encountering a couple times. But one thing I did want to note with this sentence right here, this part right here, I've been seeing a lot of people not necessarily saying Wuthering Waves is not going to have a good story, but stating that it's not going to be story driven to a degree, and that's just some individuals. What I can tell you, and this for me clearly indicates this is going to be a good story, and Wuthering Waves is going to have a good story, and Kuro Games has the capacity and the ability to narrate a great story. I think it's going to be filled with a lot of triumph, but filled with also a lot of heartache. So if you think that Wuthering Waves is only going to be combat focused, I assure you, you are mistaken, my friend. The story is going to be gripping, it's going to be good, and it's going to touch at your heartstrings. I can almost assure you of that. So anyways, I'm going to leave it on that note. Let me know in the comments down below your thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. I always am happy to read your comments and see what you guys have to say and get an interaction going. Thank you guys so much for all the support as of late here on the channel for Wuthering Waves and other things that we do. It's truly appreciated. I love each and every one of you. Remember to stand out, be different, have fun, go further beyond in everything that you do. My name is Cody. You call me further. I'll see you all next one. Bye, guys.